भूत्वा दीनगणेशकरुकरुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठाश्रितौ तत्त्वा तु नमसे समण्डलपतिशनिं सदा तुच्छवत् भूत्वा दीनगणेशकरुकरुणया कोऽपि न कण्ठाश्रितौ गोपीभावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातनरघुजुगं श्रीजीवगोपालकौ कृष्णकीर्तनकाननतनपरौ प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्णकीर्तनकाननतनपरौ प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कुजत्कोकिलहं संसारसुगणकीर्णमयूराकुले नानारत्ननिबद्धमूलपिटप श्रीयुक्तवृन्दावने राधाकृष्णमहर्निशं प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ जौ बुधा वन्दे रूपसनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीजीवगोपालकं कृष्णकीर्तनगाननर्तनपरौ प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि धीराधीरजनप्रियं प्रियकरं निर्मत्सरौ पूजितं शङ्खापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहारविहारकादिविदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जौ शङ्खापूर्वकनामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहारविहारकादिविदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जौ गोपीभावरसामृतादिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूपसनातनरघुजुगं श्रीजीवगोपालकं कृष्णकीर्तनगाननर्तनपरौ प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्णकीर्तनगाननर्तनपरौ
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Yashodanandana, for cueing me that the audio was off. For our Saturday morning Bhagavad Gita as it is, reading and discussion here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, Zoom meetings, which are also broadcast, Michael Dillon, on YouTube. So good to see you, Prabhu. And it's good to see everybody lining up to come on to the class early. It's great. And Rupa Goswami starts the class at 5:10 if it's Eastern Standard Time. Down here in Yotepec, Mexico, it's 8 a.m. It's a 2-hour difference here. And Yashoda, I believe, is at 7 a.m. in Twain Hart, but he's an early riser, that's for sure. And Krishna Gata is as well. So thank you, everyone, for coming on time. We really appreciate that. And it makes a difference. Discipline is part of spiritual activity or devotional service. And I have a few announcements to make before we get started into our reading. We do need help in our printing work. As you know, we are moving forward to develop a complete guide to self-realization, which is an introduction for new people into Krishna consciousness. And it's going to include all the introductions from Prabhupada's different books, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam and the Gita and Chaitanya Charitamrita, along with various articles on Guru Tattva, Vani Incarnation, and Ryan Martinez, he is helping us. He's compiling the Dhammas, all the different holy lands, giving people a background into Krishna consciousness so that they can move forward into the study of Prabhupada's books with more perspective on what it is that they're getting, the complete guide to self-realization, how to become Krishna conscious in one lifetime, how to go back to Godhead in one lifetime if they desire to. It's up to them, of course. So this is one of our projects. We also have a new book that we're working on. This is a draft title, Review of the Unauthorized Biography of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada by Yashodanandana Prabhu. The review of the unauthorized biography of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Swami Prabhupada, headed up by Yashodanandana Prabhu, and we included in our classes now, and we're going to make it a book, and there'll also be an introduction into it, which will explain about Guru Tattva, proper understanding, and also the Vani Incarnation, which we stress in our classes. And it's very important, Raghava, as you might have seen. There are many programs going on. There was a program at Bhaktivedanta Manor a few days ago celebrating Gaur Purnima and a recognition of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. And despite the fact that they have thousands of people coming to the manor for celebrations, I think I saw 7 people there, Yashoda. 7 people there to glorify Srila Prabhupada. Total minimization. This is a mistake. And Ron Singh also sent me a video of some sannyasi initiation that's taking place. And in that initiation, there's all kinds of people getting sannyas. Despite the order of Srila Prabhupada, no more sannyas. So what is this? This is a complete disregard for the instructions Vijaya Pandit of Srila Prabhupada's orders. And this we do not accept. This is called misinformation, misdirection, deceit, fraud, all kinds of things like that. So what I wanted to carry on here, we are printing these works, and then we have another book that we're planning. So we've got 3 editions that we're going to be going ahead with, new editions. And if anybody in our group knows anybody that can help us in creating articles in cooperation with Yashodananda, who is our senior editor, and anyone who's capable of marketing and advertising and expert in the internet, please get a hold of me. It's very important. We have a few people working, but our projects are many, and many hands make workload light. The more people that are working, the better it is. And why, Rochisha Devi Dasi, do I say that? Because time is of the essence. And seeing you there on the screen, I had a chance last night to have an extensive conversation with some friends in Montreal. And her name is Patrice Carlisle. And she was also, and her husband, and they are also volunteering to help us in translating the books that we're working on into Francais. So we are looking to be able to expand these publications in different languages moving on. So many things to do, absolutely. And we're such a small group, but not that we're worried about smallness, Yashodanandana Prabhu. No. We know that a small group of men and women working together who are talented and enthusiastic can do amazing things. Yes, but it's a matter of focus. It's a matter of surrender and sacrifice. And in this way, we can move forward. So we need people, if you know anybody in your networks that it can be a part of this effort that we're making. And also for our online classes, which are very important, because they're reaching out to thousands of people. Yes, they are. People may not be coming immediately, but it's gradually infiltrating into social media and the internet, which is the greatest tool for us to use right now in reaching others who are serious about Krishna consciousness. So, conclusion, we need help. I wanted to give you a quick update on Gopal Prabhu here in Mexico. I'm in Yotepec, as you know, and he's in Cuernavaca in a major hospital there, and he had an operation 2 days ago, and I was very concerned about his physical strength to be a part of that success, but he returned from the operating table, and he's been in the intensive care unit there, and I plan to go visit him tomorrow. So very good news, and thank you everyone. Thank you all for praying for him and praying for all of us that we maintain our good health and our determination, our collective determination to do things, Vijaya Pandit. Actions speak louder than words, to do things to progress the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation. enough of that. The class on Wednesdays. This week, our class will be shifting, and we have to, Rama Raghava, please note this down. We want to make sure that the invitation goes out on Wednesday this week for people to attend the CC class. The reason we're doing it is, of course, that Rama Raghava agreed to help us with that, and thank you very much. And number two, all of our cards, our invitation cards, are for Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Like in Hamilton here, we produced 1,000 cards, and we distribute them wherever we go. If you want an invitation card that you can print in your area, these will be functional again. And our screen also shows in our productions Wednesday classes. It's still there from months ago. So we're going to go back to that. Fortunately, we don't even have to change it. So it's more convenient. And we did lose a few people off that class that were coming because Thursday was not convenient for them. And we're returning to increase our membership, our attendance on Wednesdays. Let me see what time I'm at. Okay. I wanted to carry on with the misinformation campaign of the modern society in terms of the moon landing, which I've been reading, The Easy Journey to Other Planets. This book here, it was very difficult for me, Ram Raghava, even to open it by myself and photograph it. It was so frustrating this morning. I'm hoping Rupa Goswami has able to source this original 59 version of it, and then we can read from it. I'll get to the page I've selected. And this talks about the moon landing. Let me see where I am. So difficult to work with this. So many of these books were done back in time. And excuse me 1 second. Oh. Can't seem to. Rupa Goswami, do you have that section I highlighted, please? Perfect, thank you. The duration of life on the moon, and I really appreciate that because this book here is a 1986 version, and I'm not sure how authentic it is for us. But this is the 1959 version. The duration of life on the moon, according to Vedic information, is 10,000 years, and one day there is equal to 6 months here. Thus, 10,000 multiplied by 180 years in the duration of life on the moon. However, it is impossible for Earthmen, that's all of us, Earthmen and women, to go to the moon and live there for very long. Otherwise, the whole Vedic literature would be false. Now, here Prabhupada specifies, we can attempt to go there, but it's not possible to live there. This knowledge is in the Vedas. Therefore, we are not very eager to go to this planet or that planet. We can attempt to go there. He's being polite in that expression. And if you look at the videos, Ram Raghava, of this moon landing, and you can go online and see them, they were shot in a studio, no question. I've never believed it. Ever since I heard this information from Srila Prabhupada, I was convinced, yes, they didn't even have personal computers in the 60s. Do you see the machines they used and the camera and the lighting and all of that is a hoax Prabhupada is telling us the truth, but this is misinformation. This was manufactured by a government in order to tax the people, because that's all they do is tax, tax, tax. That's what tariff means. Tariff means tax. Charge the people more for everything they receive. This knowledge in the Vedas, therefore, we are eager to go directly to the planet where Krishna lives. Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Bratav Devan, Pritan Yanti Prita Brataha, Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Yanti Mad Yagino Pimam. One can go to the moon, or one can even go to the sun, or to millions or trillions of other planets. Or if one is too materially attached, he may remain here, but those who are my devotees will come to me. So this is the real way to journey to other planets. This is our aim. Initiation in Krishna consciousness ensures that the student ultimately can go to the supreme planet, Krishna Loka. We are not sitting idly. We are also attempting to go to other planets, but we are not merely wasting time. And that is what the material scientists are doing, and these people that are pretending that they're creating spaceships to go to Mars, like Elon Musk. A sane and intelligent man does not wish to enter any of the material planets, because the four conditions of material miseries exist on all of them. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that even if we enter Brahmaloka, the highest planetary system of this universe, the four principles of misery will be present. We learn that from Bhagavad Gita, that the duration of one day on Brahmaloka is millions of years, our calculation. That is a fact. Not fiction, not mental concoction. Simple receiving transcendental knowledge via the pure devotee spiritual master, called the descending process of knowledge, everyone. Even the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka, may be reached, but scientists say that it will take 40,000 years at Sputnik speed. Prabhupada is referring to the term from Russia, Sputnik, because this was going on in the 70s, 60s and 70s. And that term was more popular back then. Who is prepared to travel in space for 40,000 years? From Vedic literature, we can understand that we can enter any of the planets, provided we prepare for that purpose. If one prepares himself to enter to the higher planetary systems, which are said to be inhabited by the demigods, he can go there. Yes, the yogis can travel there. Similarly, one can go to the lower planetary systems, or if someone desires, he can remain on this planet. Finally, if one desires, he can enter the planet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is all a matter of preparation. And what is that preparation? That is bhakti yoga. That is the discipline of serving the spiritual master and his instructions. And in this way, a person can qualify, just like in MMA. You can't become a champion unless you work out every day. The same way, you cannot be a Krishna conscious disciple of Prabhupada if you don't chant your rounds, 16 minimum a day. Follow the four regulated principles, study the books, take up the service of Lord Chaitanya, and in this way make advancement, become self-realized by the mercy of Krishna and Prabhupada. If one enters the planet called thus, however, if planetary systems within our material universe are temporary, the duration of life on certain material planets may be very long. but all living entities in the material universe are eventually subject to annihilation and have to again develop their other bodies. There are different types of bodies. A human body exists for 100 years. Generally, some people think they can live longer by desire, but for one who is born, death is certain eventually, even whereas an insect body may exist for 12 hours. Thus, the duration of these different bodies is relative. If one enters the planet called Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual planet, however, he then achieves eternal life, full of bliss and knowledge. A human being can attain that perfection if he tries. That is stated in Bhagavad Gita when the Lord says, anyone who knows in truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead can attain to my nature. Okay, so we are going to end this particular section. We'll carry on tomorrow. I have other sections from the Easy Journey to Other Planets that we are going to continue to read and get further understanding on how we can see how to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Now we'll go forward with our class and discussion headed up by His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu, who's in the snowstorm in Twain Harte. Is it melting, Prabhu, there? Is it? Are you still snowed in? I don't know, his microphone's cut off. Sorry. We'll do the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava headed up by Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, and all glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his Gaur Purnima festival. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Maradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Maradhari. Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Maradhari. Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Vandana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Vandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira समाज भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Tato jayam udirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Nara Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This reading in class is being conducted on the basis of the original 1972 Macmillan edition Bhagavad Gita as it is, the non-interpolated, non-adulterated original version. And we thank everybody for participating. It should be noted that all synonyms, translations, and purports are from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, every time Prabhupada held these classes, he read in 1966 in New York from a selected few verses, which we will read together. The Sanskrit verses were introduced by Srila Prabhupada himself. They are found in introduction on page 1. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shigurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sahagunara Gunatan Anvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna chaitanya devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. O my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we will be starting chapter 13, text number 1 and 2 on page 618, 19. Arjuna Uvacha Prakriti Purusham Cheva Kshetram Kshetrajnameva Cha Etad Viditumicchami Jnanam Yeyam Chakeshava Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Shariram Kanteya Kshetram iti abhidhiyate etadyo vetitam prahuhu kshetrajnaha iti tadvidaha. Arjuna uvacha. Arjuna said, Prakritim, nature, Purusham, the enjoyer, Cha, also, Eva, certainly, Kshetram, body, Kshetrajnam, knower of the body, Eva, certainly, Cha, also, Etat, all this, Veditum, to understand, Ichami, I wish, Jnanam, knowledge, Jneyam, the object of knowledge, Cha, also, Keshava, O Krishna, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha, the personality of God had said, Idam, this, Shariram, body, Kanteya, O son of Kunti, Kshetram, the field, Iti, thus, Abhidhiyate is called, Etat, this, Ya, anyone. Veti knows. Tam him. Prahu is called. Kshetrajnaha, knower of the body. Iti, thus. Tat vidaha, one who knows. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, "Oh, my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the end of knowledge." The blessed Lord then said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna was inquisitive about Prakriti or nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, Kshetrajna, its knower, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge. When he inquired about all these, Krishna said that this body is called the field, and that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned soul wants to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification is offered a body or a field of activity. Therefore, the body is called kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who identifies himself with the body is called kshetrajna, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, and yet he is still one person remaining. Thus, there is a difference between the knower of the field of activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehe Esmin, that the living entity is within the body, and that the body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. And the person who owns the body knows that the body is changing. The owner is distinctly kshetrajna. Sometimes we understand that I'm happy, I am mad, I'm a woman, I'm a dog, I'm a cat. These are the knowers. The knower is different from the field. Although we use many articles or clothes, etc., we know that we are different from the things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Lord in different capacities as the distressed, those in want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes into contact with material nature, how he's delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different methods of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and the discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. That is explained. That also is explained. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Tiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshataham Adadana Srinam Danteridam Yachi Punah Punaham Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Satkarumisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. As we have seen in many places throughout Srila Prabhupada's books and his teachings, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the position of the living entity and the difference between the body and the soul. How the body is changing, but the soul keeps remaining the same. Now, this point is repeatedly discussed by Srila Prabhupada from so many different angles of vision throughout his teachings. And this is based because in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Lord Krishna starts his instruction to Arjuna in the second chapter by chastising him that you are speaking very nicely, but you are not a pundit, because you are lamenting for something which does not deserve lamentation. And then Krishna gives his instruction. Dehinosmin yata dehi komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptiyam dirastatra namuhyati. This is not a difficult point to understand. Unfortunately, those who are not dhira, those who are not self-controlled and enlightened under the shelter of a bona fide authorized acharya, they do not understand. They are bewildered because they identify the body with the self. Now, in this particular text, 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita is explained about the knower of the field and the field of activities. It is another way of re-explaining and re-emphasizing the importance of the soul. We see in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita how Krishna is explained, Srila Prabhupada is explained, how the soul is 1/10,000 the tip of a hair. The soul is also described to be floating within 10 kinds of hair within the heart. This is very important because we see that materialistic people often think, oh, you only live once, enjoy yourself. But the reality is that is very different. Okay, what do we have here? Here's the same text. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth, to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Now, this is very important because, again, as I started to discuss here, the materialistic mindset that you only live once, therefore you should enjoy yourself, this is a falsehood. This is not the reality of what we are experiencing. We see in this life, the body changes, just like described in the Bhagavad Gita, Kaumaram Yovanam Jara. There is a very interesting little lecture I saw where Prabhupada is saying, if the scientists want to conquer material nature, why don't they stop old age, remain perpetually young? Remain so that you will not have to suffer the difficulty of old age. But they cannot do that. Everybody has to grow old. Nobody can escape this problem of material existence, birth, death, old age, and disease. One may have wishful thinking that in the future we'll develop some pill or some cure or some new arrangement that you will not regret old, but that is foolishness. That is utopia. We do know from practical experience that everybody undergoes these difficulties. Very interesting. A nice conversation here. Thank Neil Sharma Prabhu. He says, in April 1973, during a long morning walk at Venice Beach in Los Angeles, Srila Prabhupada turned to the subject of modern science and scientists. With philosophical rigor, profound common sense, and disarming frankness, he exposed the narrow-mindedness and illogic behind the scientists' commonly accepted theories about the origin of life. The students on hand, including Dr. Tudam Singh, an organic chemist, who captured the dialogue on tape. So Prabhupada is explaining, says the whole world of science and technology is running on the false idea that life is born from matter. We cannot allow this nonsensical theory to go unchallenged. Life does not come from matter. Matter is generated from life. This is not theory, it is fact. Science is based on an incorrect theory. Therefore, all its calculations and conclusions are wrong, and people are suffering because of this. When all these mistaken modern scientific theories are corrected, people will become happy. So we must challenge the scientists and defeat them. Otherwise, they will mislead the entire society. Matter changes in 6 phases: birth, growth, maintenance, production of or byproducts, dwindling, and death. But the life within matter, the spirit soul, is eternal. It goes through no such changes. Life appears to be developing and decaying, but actually it is simply passing through each of these 6 phases until the material body can no longer be maintained. Then the old body dies and the soul enters a new body. When our clothing is old and worn, we change it. Similarly, one day our bodies become old and useless, and we pass on to a new body. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 2:13, Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptihi. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. And a little later, 2:18, Antabanta ime deha nitya suktaha sharirinaha. This means that only the material body of the indestructible and eternal entity is subject to destruction. This material body is perishable, but the life within the body is nitya, eternal. According to the Vedas, The measurement of the soul within the body is 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. This is very small. In fact, it is atomic. Yet, because of that atomic spiritual energy, my body is working. Is it so difficult to understand? Suppose a man thinks himself very stout and strong. Why is he stout and strong? Only because within his body is a small spiritual spark. But as soon as the spiritual spark is gone, his body dies, and his strength and vigor become void. If scientists say that matter is the cause and origin of life, then let him bring just one dead man back to life by injecting him with chemicals. But this they cannot do. So Prabhupada goes on discussing and arguing the false position of materialistic scientists. Now, it's very important as devotees to understand that the various angles that Srila Prabhupada takes in explaining this subject matter. We all know, we've read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the same topic is coming up again and again and again. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, why do you keep talking about this subject? And Prabhupada is because you do not understand. Just try to understand. We had the good fortune of being in Prabhupada's room many times where Prabhupada would interrupt the conversation and Prabhupada would say, just try to understand. Because people in the age of Kali are so dull, are so slow, manda sumanda matayo. The Bhagavatam describes how the characteristic of people in this age are lazy, less intelligent, short memory. Therefore, the Acharya gives those sharp spiritual instructions to wake up the conditioned soul and bring them to their senses to understand that they are eternal spirit soul, servants of Krishna. Just like yesterday, on Thursday, Vishwakarma Prabhu was discussing, quoted from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jiva Swarup Ay Nitya Krishna Das. So the eternal position of the living entity is to be simply a servant of Krishna, eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna Das Kaviraj in the Chaitanya Charitamrita has nicely summarized. He says, Ekalishwar Krishna Ar Sababritya. There's only one personality, one controller, that is Krishna. All other living entities are simply his servant, Britya. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to further comment on this constant repetition of the philosophy, why we're hearing it over and over again in the different scriptures and today's explanation of the field and the field of activity. Why? What's the reason? Because Maya is always attacking us. Yes, always. And if we're not, it's like a person that's diseased. A person may be diseased, but if they take the medicine that's prescribed by the doctor, Ram Raghava, and it's specific, you follow the different directions of the doctor. Like they have these, I also have a friend, she's a pharmacist. There's a specific system for taking the medicine. And they always say, you have to take all of the pills. Huh? I know Yashoda has a few pills he takes. You have to take them all. You can't just drop them out. Once you stop hearing this philosophy from people that are enlightened in Prabhupada's mission to deliver the conditioned soul, then Maya creeps in. Oh yes, it does. And all of a sudden, you become confused. Because the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego are very strong elements in our subtle body. Very. In order to overcome them, you have to constantly hear this philosophy. And that's why we recommend that everyone come to these classes 3 times a week. Wednesday, next week will be Wednesday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning, where we read the different scriptures. And this is the medicine, Dharma Bhavana, that keeps us focused on Krishna consciousness in association with other devotees. Yes, association, Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. I find that when I speak to my friends, they constantly, from the past, I had a call from a few people this week, surprisingly, from when I was 13 years old. They called me up. Oh, I remember what it was like when we were 13. I'm like, oh, wow, I can't remember that. But it was vivid in their minds. And then they go like this, geez, I can't believe how fast time has flown. I go, yeah, it has, hasn't it? Because you never think that you'll get old, do you? Oh, I'm going to get old. I spoke to a couple of devotees yesterday, and I asked them their age, and the gentleman said 60 years old. I said, geez, you're an old man. He goes, yeah, I didn't realize I was 60 already. So old age comes upon us, and we don't even recognize that we're old. We still think we're a young man. We still think we can enjoy, but no. Birth, death, disease, and old age, as Prabhupada talks about, this whole purport today, everyone, is an explanation of the knower of the field and the field of activity. What is that? If you're not Krishna conscious, it's Maya. That's what it is. And this is our problem. We live in Maya, most of us. Confused, attached, my wife, my kids, my money, my house, my car. Oh yeah. We all know what that means. But gradually, by hearing this philosophy in association with like-minded devotees, yes, like-minded. Oh, sure, there are lots of devotees. Yesterday I was speaking to these people. They kept referring to us as Ritviks. Oh, I'm a Ritvik. Excuse me. We're not Ritviks. We're Prabhupada disciples. Ritvik is a system for initiation for people that are qualified to take that responsibility to be a disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are not Ritviks. We are Prabhupada disciples. I keep repeating that because I hear that's in Yashoda, that particular term has been transmitted by certain people from the ISKCON group in a derogatory manner to describe people like us that don't accept the Vapu representation of the disciplic succession with these bogus gurus. Oh yeah, and we don't absolutely accept them. And the thing is this, I wanted to mention Ram Raghava. Most people don't understand that that's a hoax. Just like the moon landing is a hoax. Now someone goes, oh, well, it's hard for me to believe that they didn't go to the moon. Well, just check it out. Use your brains. If you're stupid, you'll think so. If you're brainwashed, you're going to think. They used to call us brainwashed. These people that follow social media or regular media, like CNN and these other garbage media stations, all garbage. These people are all brainwashed. People are brainwashed. This conception that I am an American or a Canadian or Indian, all these designations, that's also brainwashing. We have to clean our brains of all this garbage and understand that we are not the body, but we are the eternal servants of Krishna. So this constant hearing every week. If you don't read on a weekly basis, what happens, Dharma Bhavana, if you don't read? Well, I can tell you what happens. You start to dry up, just like a plant that's not watered. It loses its vitality. If you don't stay applied to this, you'll become weak. Yes, you will. And we all have a personal experience of that. It's like a muscle, Neil Sharma. If you don't constantly exercise the muscle, what happens? It starts to become flabby. If you don't constantly apply yourself to any of these processes, then you will become weak. And weakness in spiritual life is when you disassociate yourself from Prabhupada's books. I have a friend, an East Indian fellow, who I met in the 70s. Yeah. And I did him a big favor, actually. I sold him one of our houses. He made a ton of money on it. I was trying to build up our real estate assets in Toronto around the Toronto Temple. It got kiboshed by everybody. And of course, that was another stupidity by people that come around us. This way, it would have been a much different community there. But anyway, long story short, I sold him one of our houses at a cheap price. And he sends me constantly these pictures of deities every day to my message. Okay. Well, do I appreciate the pictures? Yeah, of course. It's nice to see the pictures. But I asked him this question, Neela Shama. Like, I've known this guy for 40 years. How come you never come to one of our classes? What's the matter with you? And he knows me as the former president, and he knows blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I'm asking him, why don't you come and hear this philosophy in association with like-minded devotees? And in this way, you may wake up out of your sentimental look at Krishna consciousness. Because so many people, Prabhus, follow Krishna consciousness, Vijaya Pandit, with a sentimental attitude. Yes, sentimentality. This is a disease as well. This is not sentimental philosophy. Prabhupada demonstrated it in his life's service to his guru. It was not sentimental. It was hard work. It was focus. It's amazing how much Prabhupada achieved in such a short period of time. And we also have that opportunity. So Maya is constantly attacking all of us. And by being in association with good devotees and focusing on this philosophy, how many people have come to this group and dropped out? Huh? Oh, well, I've heard someone say, well, this isn't the way that Prabhupada taught us to preach. Huh, really? Did you ever meet Prabhupada? Were you ever instructed by Prabhupada? Did you ever do anything for Prabhupada when he was personally here or even after he left? What have you done? Nothing. But you got an opinion. Yeah, everybody has an opinion. The International Society for Opinionators. And there's lots of opinions. Go ahead, you mental speculator, you fake person. Don't give us this type of concoction, mental concoction that goes on. The world is filled with mental concoction. So, what's this? The Haribo Society. Thank you, Ryan. And by the way, thank you, Ryan. Ram Raghava has joined our editorial team in our publication, and he's doing a section on the Dhammas for us that we'll be reviewing and being in our complete guide to self-realization, the complete guide. So there's lots to go. I'm going to slow down here again and turn it back over to our godbrother Yashodanandana, who is reading now the review of the unauthorized bio of Srila Prabhupada, which is also called the Lilamrita. It's unauthorized, and it is not a true representation of Srila Prabhupada, because it came from a person who wrote it that did not realize who Srila Prabhupada was, not even close, and it's revealed in these books. So we'll go back to Yashodanandana Prabhu, and he can continue with the reading of the unauthorized bio, a review of Prabhupada's life, also known as the Lilamrita. Ha! Go ahead, Yashoda.
Well, thank you for that. I just want to point out that one devotee, many devotees actually, remarked that they've researched Prabhupada's conversation in books, and they found or did not find any reference from Srila Prabhupada where he requested devotees to write his biography. There's no record of Prabhupada ever requesting his devotees or his managers to write a biography about his life. As a matter of fact, in the Bhagavatam, in the 7th canto, there's a purport where Srila Prabhupada says there's no need to understand the past of a Vaishnava, especially a Vaishnava like Srila Prabhupada, a Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated soul. So this is a very important point. Now, with regards to this Lilamrita review, this was originally compiled by Jadharani and Kailash Chandra, and it was re-edited in Badger, California by some devotees. So what we have currently is basically various quotations from Srila Prabhupada explaining the position of a liberated soul. We're currently on page number 7, towards the bottom of the page. The Lilamrita claims that Srila Prabhupada became unconscious due to heat. One day, this is from Lilamrita, book number 1, page 194. One day, while delivering BTG to various addresses in the city, Abai suddenly began reeling, half unconscious, overcome by the heat. Srila Prabhupada, to the contrary, writes, because this transcendental position is at once achieved by one who is in Krishna consciousness, the devotee of the Lord is unaffected by the dualities of material existence, namely distress and happiness, cold and heat, etc. This state is practical samadhi, or absorption in the Supreme, from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, text number 7. If there appeared to be any such collapse, it would not be due to heat, but rather due to transcendental ecstasy, according to the Shastra, and could be understood only by another pure devotee. Quotation from Madhya Lila, chapter 23, text 40. Even a most learned scholar cannot understand the activities and symptoms of an exalted personality in whose heart love of God it has awakened. Then there's another citation from Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 23, text 51. The many external ecstatic symptoms of bodily transformations are the anubhavas, or subordinate ecstatic expressions of love. Some of these are dancing, falling down, and rolling on the ground. The Lilamrita claims that Srila Prabhupada was dangerously old. It's said that he was, as our most old man, like a doting father. Lilamrita, book number 1, page 287. He was making a momentous break with his previous life, and he was dangerously old and not in strong health. and he was going to an unknown and probably unwelcoming country. Then from Lilamrita, book number 2, page 151, one boy, Stanley, was quite young, and Prabhupada, almost like a doting father, watched over him as he ate. Webster's dictionary defines doting as 1, to be feeble-minded or weak-minded, especially from old age. 2, to show excess or foolish affection or fondness. Srila Prabhupada, however, writes, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text 35, "My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material whips, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death, and he can conquer the mind and 5 senses." Another quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 4, Text number 5. "Another symptom of a liberated person is vijara, which indicates that he is not subjected to the miseries of old age." The Lilamrita claims that Srila Prabhupada was starving. From Lilamrita, book 1, page 164. When Abai arrived, he appeared very poor, starving. He had no means. Webster's dictionary defines starving as to suffer extreme hunger, to perish from lack of food. Srila Prabhupada, however, writes, "My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material whips, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death, and he can conquer the mind and 5 senses." From Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text number 35. And we can resume the discussion. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's very interesting, Yashodanandana Prabhu, to see the weak-minded person that wrote this Lilamrita, how they project their weak-mindedness onto Srila Prabhupada's character. That's what this is. A person in Maya writing about the transcendental position of Srila Prabhupada as a mundane man like himself. And by the way, everybody, this person in Gita Nagri does these weird paintings nowadays. He's completely crippled in a wheelchair. And people get these books and they're totally misled by this explanation of Prabhupada's position as Krishna's Shakta Vaishnava, the representative of Lord Chaitanya. Completely wrong. And this is going on many levels, by the way, not just this. And this particular book that we're going to be publishing will help people to understand that and dissipate the ignorance that's being perpetrated to people that are sincerely looking for spiritual life. So Krishna consciousness is a razor's edge. You can't just make things up. And that's what's going on. Not only there, but in that group that they're representing now as Prabhupada's mission, they just make things up. Mental concoction, mental speculation. This is rampant in that diseased state that they've created. And it's very unfortunate, Yashodanandana Prabhu, how many people are being deceived, just like people are deceived in mass about the landing on the moon back in 1966 or whatever. It's a complete hoax. And this ISKCON group is another group of hoax artists that are propagating misleading information for personal self-aggrandizement of the guru situation they have concocted. Dharma Bhavana Prabhu in Dallas, Texas. Please, if you could share some of your realizations with our group this morning.
Hare Krishna, Gaurish Prabhupada. Yeah, we're talking a lot about how Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness to the devotees during morning walks, during the books, and so many conversations. Now, I'm just reflecting back how it was told about the miseries of mature life, unqualified religious educators and religious people, the war in Vietnam, modern science, and the troubles of President Nixon. And these were, I guess you call it, current events. And it seems to be, for devotees, especially back in the 1960s and 70s, is very important that we understand the fallacy of mature life and the kind of educators and the type of people that were famous in society. And we understand that the kind of mature world is kind of like a big lie, a false place, that it's much more easier to take to Krishna consciousness as being real and a great remedy for all the problems. And as far as the moon landing, it seems there's different kind of things Prabhupada said. First, he said they may have went to Rahu. Then he said they may have went to the moon, but not to Chandraloka, which would be, you got to think about that. Or they faked the photos in some sound studio. And they had this movie about 6 months ago that was very popular, how it was done in kind of a romantic comedy way instead of a documentary, but it did a documentary purpose of showing how the whole thing was faked. And I thought it was pretty, on the airplane we saw this. I thought it was pretty convincing and pretty wonderful the way it was done in a tricky way, not to be a documentary so that somebody could argue about it, but it was kind of a romantic comedy way so people could be entertained by the whole thing. So I thought, this is so one of my friends, a friend of mine, he was telling me that they have this new invention now, this tonic you can take, and you can you won't get old anymore. It'll stop the old age process. And I didn't get a chance to explain to him that that's completely ridiculous. It's a false kind of hope for not getting old. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in the mature world. People are trying to present potions for stop old age, but it's never going to happen. Thank you. Haribo.
Haribo. And it's interesting to note that I had a chance, Ram Raghava, and I'll call on you next. I had a chance to debate Ted Patrick in Toronto. If you guys remember Ted Patrick, some of you who are older, let's say, he was a person that tried to deprogram people and make them normal again by watching TV and eating meat and having illicit sex life and drinking, etc. That's how they made people normal, read the newspaper and this and that. But the fact of the matter is, Prabhus, everyone is brainwashed. That's the point. This whole modern world, and you can see all these things that are going on nowadays in the media. There's so much information or misinformation that people are totally confused, bewildered. So this explosion of the internet and this propaganda war that's going on between the liberals and the conservatives, between the Dems and the Republicans. Someone sent me a note. Are you representing Donald Trump in your classes? I go, no. Come on. I said, well, have you ever listened to any of these classes, or you just want to say something or troll me? Call me up, I told him. Send him my number. People are brainwashed. That's as simple as it is, Prabhus. There's no question of that. And the whole principle of Shravanam Kirtanam in association with devotees is to help us get out of this comatose state of existence. Ram Raghava in Georgia. Maybe you could
Hare
share your
Krishna. Thank you.
question or
Can you-
comment, please.
Can,
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, crystal clear. Thank
Three
you.
things. First of all,
Oh.
thank you to Yashodanandan Prabhu and Vishwakarma Prabhu, the speakers, and the host, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, for providing this very important and important platform and association, which is needed. And also for training the younger generation like Rupa Goswami Prabhu and Bhakta Ron Singh also for carrying on this mission in the future. It's very much appreciated. And also, speaking of Bhakta Ron Singh, I like to always, for the pleasure of the devotees present, let them know that on YouTube, there were up to 10 people watching.
Okay.
And of course, one of them is me and the other one is Bhakta Ron Singh Prabhu. So 8 people watching, so that's nice. Hopefully we'll keep that growing. And third, in reading the verse today about the field and the nur of the field, it reminded me of a garden. And I wanted to share something from the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in the purport to text 9. And because it reminded me of how Krishna consciousness or devotional service is like a garden. And recently, my wife and I started preparing our kitchen garden in the back, getting ready to plant the vegetables for this upcoming season. And so it reminded me of this. So I'd like to read something. This is from the purport to the ninth text in chapter 10. Lord Chaitanya, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe. And out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed. And if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. And so earlier you mentioned that if we don't read, just like if we don't water the plants, they'll shrivel up and start dying. So similarly, if we don't read, we'll start shriveling up in our devotional service. Continuing here, the spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahmajyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky also, that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. So just as in the watering process, also weeds start growing. Just like the other day, my wife was saying, we have to really take care, make sure the weeds are rooted out. So similarly, in devotional service, we also have to regularly cultivate by watering, hearing, and chanting, and recognize when the weeds are growing and uproot the weeds and take care of those weeds. So of course, we can talk about this for a long time, but I just wanted to share that portion and I'll stop here.
Well, thank you very much. Beautiful. And we'll move, just 1 second, we'll move to, remember this, everyone, that this misinformation campaign that's going on in the world is in all levels. And it's being propagated by all different stratas of people, whether it's political or military or medicinal. Look at all these things that went on with these viruses. Huh? where they were saying this thing would be good for you. Now again, they're still propagating vaccinations. They're at a high level, not a small level. In Hamilton, they suspended 2,200 people last week the kids were not up to date with their vaccinations. 2,200 kids. So whether it's medicinal, what is the purpose of these pharmaceutical industries, Nilesh and Ram Raghava? To sell drugs and vaccinations. They're a profit-making organizations. I know about it. I do. I have a lot of people that are involved. Misinformation in the medical field, misinformation in the political field, and most importantly, everyone, misinformation coming from ISKCON. That is a disease of brainwashing that's all pervasive in the Kali Yuga, all pervasive. Nila Shama, please. You may have a question for Yashoda.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila
Yeah,
Prabhupada.
Prabhu.
I'm just going to just expound on one point, and then I
Yes.
have a question for Yashodanand Prabhu. The point which I'm trying to share over here is what we were talking about in the criticism of the Lila Amrita.
Yeah.
I would like to quote from here, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 20.
Mhm.
I'm going to read the translation. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts. And if you look at the first sentence of Srila Prabhupada in his purport, the doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. The theory that man can become God by dint of penance and austerities is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India. Let me talk about this word anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. You see? Now remember, it is not applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. And what do we consider the Acharya as? As the representative of Sri Krishna, as the person as good as God himself. Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra. So if you were to look at this definition of anthropomorphism,
Mhm.
and this is again coming from Perplexity, the AI platform, anthropomorphism is a practice of attributing human traits, emotions, or intentions to non-human entities such as animals, objects, or natural phenomena. This concept has deep roots in human psychology and is observed across various cultures and historical periods. So imagine, if I cannot do it, so you cannot do it, or if I cannot do it, so Krishna cannot do it, comes this anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. So just like how we in the old age would become tendency to make mistakes or have the problems of old age, this is what the author of Leela Amrita is trying to impose upon Srila Prabhupada, and that shows the very human nature or the materialistic contamination of the author, and thereby maligning the whole picture. And if we were to follow such people, what is going to be our final result? And this is what we are trying to kind of clear the air, that at the end of the day, everybody has individual free will. You can choose whoever you want to follow, you can choose whoever you don't want to follow. The
Yeah.
idea is, this platform offers you a source where if you were to follow the true Acharya in his original words, look at the destination where you can reach. Otherwise, your destination is somewhere else. So interestingly, this question comes to Yashodanand Prabhu is, we talked about the Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the knower of the field and the field itself. Now, how does this marry into the Vapu and the Vani factor, which we talk about with Srila Prabhupada, where they are trying to bring this back to a material platform where we are constantly saying, Dein asmin tata de komaram yovram jara. That we are not this body, we are the Dehi, we are within the body. And for that, within the body, the Dehi, for him to realize himself, to realize his connection with Lord, how important is this physical body, which has been propounded by many as Vapu factor. You need a living guru. So, can you please expound on that? Because it is very interesting as we read into the chapter 13 how this marries in. Hare Krishna.
Well, you're raising some very important points here. And again, I just want to mention on behalf of Vishwakarma and myself and everybody conducting this program, Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Ram Raghava Prabhu, and your good self, that the reason we spend some time analyzing this is not a platform for criticism. This is not a platform for finding fault with the authors of that publication or whoever authorized that. This is a platform for discussing what is the correct, proper understanding of the position of a pure devotee, of a liberated soul, of a paramamsa. Like everybody, people are having kirtan around the world, right? So at the end of the kirtan, they say, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Prabhupada. So what does that mean? Well, you say all glories to devotees, all glories to Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada is a pure devotee. Prabhupada is a liberated soul. Prabhupada is a Shakti-avatar. What does that mean? Because then we have a situation, we've got many imitators, many posers who claim that they're just like on that level. They'll put their pictures on the altar. They'll have their birthday celebrated. They think, oh, we've been appointed by Prabhupada as his successors, or we've been voted in. And it basically, what it does, it confuses the position for newcomers who may not be sophisticated enough, who just approach Krishna consciousness. They get confused with this. And this is the problem with this Lamrita. When Srila Prabhupada is being presented as somebody who gets old and he's cold and he didn't know where he was and he was afraid and he was tired, it presents him just like an ordinary man. As a matter of fact, in the introduction to this Lilamrita, they quote a professor, a famous professor in an American university, that he invites the reader to read the very human story of Bhaktivedanta Swami. Well, we're never supposed to think of the Acharya and the pure devotee as just like a human. Although he behaves like a human, he comes amongst the humans to preach. We're forbidden in the Shastra, Gurushu Naramatihi, to think of the Acharya to be an ordinary person. But what we have here is presenting Prabhupada like an ordinary person, subject to the freedlies, subject to the 4 defects of material existence, subject to all of the conditioning of a regular human being. This is how he's presented in that book. And that is why this refutation is important. Just like today we were reading. Okay, I just want to make this point because this is very important. It says explaining Prabhupada. I want to read this particular verse here. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Text 38. Such Mahabhagavatas, or first great devotees, although moving amongst men, are not contaminated by honor or insult, hunger or satisfaction, sleep or wakefulness, which are all resultant actions of the 3 modes of material nature. Now, we have a choice. We always have a choice, just like you mentioned this. This is a good point you made, Neil Sharma Prabhu, that people have a choice to come to a platform where there is intelligent discussion to reach a proper conclusion, or to avoid such thing and just to engage in either some sentimentality or emotionalism or sahaja ideas. We are interested in proper siddhanta, conclusive knowledge. That is why studying each and every line of Prabhupada's purport and coming to the correct conclusion about the position of the Acharya the position of the devotee is very important. Otherwise, somebody may go on for a whole lifetime under illusion. In the Bhagavatam, there's a purport. It says a disciple should never consider the activities of the spiritual master as ordinary, like a human being. As a matter of fact, there's another purport. Prabhupada said one should stop thinking of the spiritual master to be an ordinary person. There are so many warnings carefully given by Srila Prabhupada. So we cannot accept the literature where Prabhupada is being presented just like an ordinary man. And another point before I finish here, this idea of calling Prabhupada Abhay like he was some kind of a chum or some kind of a, this is another nonsense thing. A disciple should never, ever address his spiritual master like he's just like, by his first name, like he's on a first name basis with the guru. That is not acceptable. That is not proper. He always should be given the proper title. Just recently, somebody sent me to a website of a Gaudiya Math group, and I'm looking, and they're calling Prabhupada Swami Maharaj. Excuse me, that is not acceptable. Prabhupada is never Swami Maharaj. The reason that title was given to him on account of his accomplishment to fulfill the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preaching all around the world. It is not acceptable to the sincere followers, to the bona fide followers, just to call him Swami Maharaj. There's a lot of Swami Maharajas all over the place. But Prabhupada deserved that title. And those who refuse to give him that recognition, they're simply envious. Period. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes. And further, unless people understand the Vani incarnation of Srila Prabhupada, unless they appreciate his presence in sound, they will not understand Krishna consciousness properly. No way. And that's what's going on in the ISKCON group. They're talking about, I saw a post, they're distributing all these books, all these edited books, all these other books produced by these different manufactured gurus. There is no understanding transcendentally of your relationship with Krishna or the disciplic succession unless you understand, and we stress this point, that Prabhupada lives in sound and he's present in his Vani incarnation, and we're not Ritviks. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It's already reached 9:45 here in Mexico. So that's an hour and 45 minutes. We're trying to keep the shows within a 2 hour. We're planning to release them into Spotify and Apple Network and other channels globally so that people that are looking for spiritual life will be able to get this information without being contaminated or brainwashed by the ISKCON group. So thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow morning for another lively discussion and program on Krishna consciousness from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Delhi Bhagavatams, which are so beautiful. And remember, next week, Wednesday, it will be Chaitanya Charitamrita class, and we're rescheduling it for that night. And we hope we expand our membership that day or attendance. And thank you, everyone, for participating again in this morning sadhana program that just flies by like time, flying by, and as we move through old age and death. All glories to the Sankirtan mission. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and congratulations, everyone, on celebrating Gaur Purnima yesterday. What a glorious time we're in. Haribo. Let's go to the chanting of Hare Krishna just for 2 minutes and 54 seconds, led by, oh, you're smiling, Rama. I'm like a rap artist. I said it really fast. 2 minutes and 54 seconds of Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively program. Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yautepec, Mexico. Neil Sharma Prabhu in Fort Lauderdale or Miami, Florida. Ram Raghava in Georgia. Rupa Goswami in Mumbai, India. Das Avatar Prabhu in Australia. Pier Angelo in Switzerland. Bhakta Ran Singh in Oroville, California, in his beautiful temple there. And Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California. Yasmin Virani in Hamilton, Ontario, and everybody participating. Kantadas in Trinidad. Viprahita Prabhu in Georgia. I don't know exactly where you are, but it's always good to see you here. But thanks to everybody for participating, and please join us for the next kirtan with some devotees in Jamaica. Very interesting chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And Vijay Pandit in Venice, Italy, and his good wife Gopika. Come va, Prabhu. Tutte le glorie sua divine grazia Srila Prabhupada. Grazie mille, grazie mille.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama